Hey guys, so it's been about 7 months since I first started this whole thing, and just wanted to give like a general progress update on everything, where everything is. At this point, things are pretty steady, producing like maybe 40 pounds a week-ish. Honestly, yields have not been optimal, especially from the oyster mushroom side, just because the second flushes and third flushes have not been generating as intended. But let's take a look at the basement anyway and kind of see what we have going on. Um, yeah, the layout is kind of very similar to what it was before. I have the two grow rooms on to the side of me, and then the preconditioning room in the back, which I'm not really sure is even necessary, to be honest. Um, I do kind of have certain suspicions that the preconditioning room might not be necessary, but nevertheless, it's fine for now. And let's take a look inside the lion's mane room. So over here, I have the lion's mane growing, and yeah, over the bags over here on my left, just they're starting to generate their second flush, and then the ones over here are actually generating their third flush. So while the oyster mushrooms have just been really finicky with the second and third flushes, the lion's mane have been really good to me actually, and even without kind of going through the steps of making sure the bags kind of quote unquote rest between the flushes, they just generate the second and third flushes of their own accord and actually generate pretty nice meaty mushrooms even after even with it being the third flush. It's kind of surprising how nice some of these are. I mean, they are a little bit less dense than obviously the first and second flushes, but all things considered, like this one, for example, is a pretty nice meaty mushroom for, like, given the fact that um, it's the third flush and I didn't do anything to make it grow out. So yeah, the bags are definitely significantly lighter than the oyster mushrooms are at the oyster mushroom bags are at the end of the life cycle, because again they're just generating so much more kind of flushes. That's kind of the status update on the lines made. They've been very good. I'm very confident that I'll be able to produce them once I move into a warehouse. Um, and then over here we have the oysters. So I kind of have the pink oysters on this side resting. I put a piece of tape over the front of the bag where the mushrooms came out, just to like kind of help with the healing process. But I still feel like, I don't know why they're so like hard. The mushrooms where the flush came out is very hard, and I feel like I might need to rehydrate it somehow, either by spraying more water every day or by dunking or soaking the block. I am trying to avoid soaking the block just because it increases the chance of bacterial infection, and also it's just annoying to do. So I'm going to try spraying these blocks like every day and seeing whether that helps with the generation of the second flush, because the oyster should really at least be generating a second flush. Third flush may be okay, that's maybe a little bit more difficult, but they should really be generating a second flush just pretty easily. And I know, for example, that the Italian mushrooms, they don't generate the second flush as reliably as like blue oyster or the yellow oyster, but even still, I feel like it's probably more so my lack of understanding and experience that makes it difficult for the second flush to come out. I mean, even though so I kind of need to keep thinking about making the second flush come out more reliably for especially some of these more finicky species. But overall, yeah, things are good. I have an intern kind of coming and helping me out every Monday, so I feel like that's been able to let me be a little bit more thorough with my cleaning, which is nice, and I do think it helps the mushrooms grow out a little bit better. Yeah, over here I just have the colonization, so kind of business as usual, just doing inoculations, like maybe some 20-30 to bags every week, and letting the raised sheep grow out. So these have been colonizing for about 2 months now, and you can see that the antler-like formation at the top. So I think these seem to be developing nicely. I don't really see any contamination in the bags. So just kind of waiting to let them grow out further, and I think they take like 2 to 4 months, and so a couple more months remaining. Over here on the right, on the left, I'm actually running an experiment with the pink oysters. So I tried colonizing the hardwood, like the compressed pellets, without any sort of sterilization, and just letting the pink oyster grow out, just because I know that the pink oyster is such an aggressive species that even without, I'm speculating whether they'll like colonize successfully and then fruit to an adequate degree even without any sort of sterilization. And then I kind of increased the amount of spawn I use for each bag, so instead of doing like 10 to 13%, there's like 20% by weight is spawn. So you can see that it's all growing up nicely in all the bags. Most of the bags do have like a little bit of like green on them, so I don't know how well this can be seen with the front camera, but like over here, for example, you have this little green like trichoderma or whatever else it is growing out. But overall, the bag is colonizing really quickly, so I think the pink oyster has basically succeeded. The yields may be diminished because of the competition, so that may be a factor, but yeah, if I could grow pink oyster without sterilizing the substrate, that might be a nice little bonus, because my bottleneck is definitely the sterilization process right now. And then other than that, I've been having a lot of trouble with the lab work, so I still have not created even a single petri dish successfully. All of my petri dishes essentially have been contaminated so far, and so kind of frustrating on that end, but I think it really points to my lack of experience in this, in like the lab area especially. I think that there are definitely a lot of things that I could do better. So in my previous video I talked about this a little bit, but in the flow hood area, like even just having this kind of plastic cover is actually not great. So I'm going to replace this with some sort of stainless steel top, which should be much more sterile. And in addition to that, I'm going to be using like a dedicated scalpel, because I was using like one scalpel for multiple purposes before, and even though I was flame sterilizing it, it could have been the case that it was, you know, some contaminants remained. And then I also bought like pre-sterilized petri dishes, just to, I think that might be a little bit more safe in the beginning as I started with the lab work, and then maybe once I get a little bit better, I can eventually transition to the glass petri dishes. So yeah, that's like a general update of the whole farm. I think that's pretty much it. Production is pretty steady. Lion's Mane's production is good. Oyster could be a little bit better, but overall, there's yeah, just learning, making mistakes every week, but learning every week. And yeah, actually, I met like a prospective business partner, and things are moving forward really quickly with him. So he's kind of like an investor slash salesperson, and we're gonna be going into like a formal partnership sometime soon. We've been talking like every week and making plans, so I think it's gonna happen. And I may actually be making videos about building out a warehouse pretty soon, so very excited about that. But that's a general update for today.